Maya Johnson stood at the entrance of the Galactic Defense Academy, her small bag clutched tightly in her hands. The massive building stretched high into the purple sky of planet Nexus Prime. Strange alien ships flew overhead, making sounds she had never heard before. Her heart beat fast as she looked at the other students walking past her. Most of them were not human. Tall blue creatures with glowing eyes walked in groups, talking in deep voices. Four armed beings with silver skin carried floating books that moved by themselves. Small green aliens with large heads chatted in musical tones. Maya felt very alone among all these different species. She was only 17 years old and one of just 20 humans accepted into the academy this year. Back on Earth, everyone said she was lucky to get in. But standing here now, Maya wondered if she really belonged. "You must be Maya Johnson," said a warm voice behind her. Maya turned to see a woman in a blue uniform with the academy symbol on her chest. She had kind brown eyes and short blonde hair. "Yes, ma'am," Maya replied quietly. "I'm Commander Lisa Brooks. I help run things here for the human students. Welcome to the academy." The commander smiled and put a gentle hand on Maya's shoulder. "I know this can feel overwhelming at first, but you earned your place here just like everyone else." Maya nodded but still felt nervous. She followed Commander Brooks through the main hall. The ceiling was so high she could barely see the top. Holographic displays showed star maps and battle scenes from famous space wars. Students from different worlds sat at floating desks, studying together. "Your roommate is already here, Commander," Brooks said as they walked down a long hallway. "Alex Carter. She's from New Chicago Colony. I think you two will get along well." They stopped at a door marked with the number 247. Commander Brooks pressed her hand against the scanner and the door slid open. Inside, a girl with red hair and freckles was unpacking clothes into a wall storage unit. "Alex, this is Maya, your new roommate," Commander Brooks said. Alex turned around with a big smile. "Hey there, I was wondering when you'd show up." She walked over and shook Maya's hand firmly. "Don't worry, I've been here 2 days already, and I can show you around." Commander Brooks left them alone to get to know each other. Alex helped Maya put her things away in the other half of the small room. The walls were white and clean, with 2 beds, 2 desks, and a window that looked out over the academy training grounds. "So what's your specialty?" Alex asked as she sat on her bed. "I'm here for engineering. I love building things and figuring out how alien technology works." "Tactical studies," Maya said softly. "Military strategy and battle planning." Alex raised her eyebrows. "Wow, that's Professor Mitchell's department. Good luck with that guy. I heard he's really tough, especially on humans. Some of the older students say he doesn't think humans are smart enough for advanced military work." Maya felt her stomach tighten. She had read about Professor Kane Mitchell in the Academy files. He was a famous Zephyrian military leader who had won many important battles. Zephyrians were known for being extremely intelligent and logical. Their blue skin and glowing eyes made them look almost magical to humans. "Don't let it worry you," Alex said quickly, seeing Maya's worried expression. "Humans have been proving ourselves in space for 50 years now. We might not be as naturally smart as some aliens, but we work hard and we adapt well." That evening, Maya sat at her desk looking out the window. The alien sky was full of stars she didn't recognize. Tomorrow, she would start classes, including Professor Mitchell's Advanced Tactical Warfare course. She wondered if she really had what it took to succeed here among all these brilliant alien minds. She opened her study tablet and began reading about the Academy's history, memorizing every detail she could find. Maya had always been good at remembering things, but she never told anyone just how good. Some abilities were better kept secret, at least for now. Maya walked into the large classroom on her 3rd day at the academy. The room was filled with students from 12 different planets. She found an empty seat near the back and sat down quietly. Her hands felt sweaty as she waited for Professor Mitchell to arrive. The door opened, and Professor Kane Mitchell stepped inside. He was tall and impressive, with bright blue skin that seemed to glow under the lights. His eyes were silver and seemed to look right through people. He wore a black uniform covered with medals from his military service. When he spoke, his voice was deep and commanding. "Welcome to Advanced Tactical Warfare," he said, looking around the room. "This course will separate the truly intelligent from those who merely think they are smart." His silver eyes stopped on the human students. "Some species have natural gifts for military strategy. Others do not." Maya felt her cheeks burn red. Several alien students turned to look at the humans in the class. A large Kronari student with thick gray skin laughed quietly. The Veltons, who looked like tall, thin cats, whispered to each other. In their musical language, Professor Mitchell walked to the front of the room and activated a huge holographic display. It showed a space battle with hundreds of ships fighting around a large space station. "This is the Battle of Kepler Station," he said. 50 years ago, this was the worst military disaster in galactic history. Over 50,000 beings died because of poor planning." He pressed a button and the battle replay started over. Maya watched carefully as the ships moved in complex patterns. She could see how the battle unfolded, but the professor was speaking, too fast for her to catch every detail. "For 30 years, military experts have studied this battle," Professor Mitchell continued. "The best minds from the Zephyrian Strategic Institute still debate what went wrong. It remains one of our greatest unsolved military puzzles." He turned to face the class directly. "Today, I want to demonstrate something important. I want to show you the difference between species that belong in advanced military positions and those that do not." Professor Mitchell's eyes found Maya in the back row. "Miss Johnson, please come to the front of the class." Maya's heart started beating very fast. She could feel every eye in the room watching her as she slowly stood up and walked to the front. Her legs felt weak and her mouth was dry. "Miss Johnson represents humanity in this class," Professor Mitchell said to everyone. "Today she will attempt to solve the Kepler Station crisis." He smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "I will give her all the military files from the battle. She will have 30 minutes to study them and then present her solution to the entire academy." Several students gasped. A Zephyrian student with purple markings on his face shook his head. 30 minutes? He whispered. "It takes weeks just to read all those files." Professor Mitchell pressed another button and a small table appeared. In front of Maya, on it were stacks of data tablets, each one glowing with information. "These contain every piece of information about the battle," he said. "Ship positions, weapon specifications, communication logs, casualty reports, energy readings, and tactical analysis from our best military minds." Maya stared at the tablets. There were at least 20 of them, each containing hundreds of pages of complex military data. Around the room, students began to murmur to each other. "This is impossible," said Alex from somewhere in the crowd. Maya could hear the worry in her friend's voice. Professor Mitchell raised his hand for silence. "The challenge begins now. Miss Johnson has 30 minutes to review all this material and present her solution. The entire academy will watch through the holographic network." He looked down at Maya with satisfaction. "Let us see what human intelligence can accomplish." Maya took a deep breath and reached for the first tablet. Her hands were shaking slightly, but her mind was already beginning to focus. She had no choice now but to try her best, even if it meant revealing abilities she had kept hidden her whole life. Maya picked up the first tablet with trembling hands. The room was completely silent except for the soft hum of the holographic projectors. She could feel hundreds of eyes watching her from around the academy through the live broadcast. She touched the screen and began to read. At first, her eyes moved normally across the words, but then something changed. Her breathing became deeper and more steady. Her hands stopped shaking. Maya's eyes began to move faster across the screen, much faster than should be possible. In the audience, Alex leaned forward in her seat. "What's she doing?" she whispered to the student next to her. Maya's eyes were now moving so quickly they seemed to blur. She was reading entire pages in just a few seconds. Her fingers swiped to turn pages at an incredible speed. The first tablet was finished in less than 2 minutes. Professor Mitchell frowned as he watched from the side of the room. This was not what he had expected. He had planned for Maya to struggle with just the first few pages, proving that humans could not handle complex military information. Maya reached for the second tablet. Her eyes had changed somehow. They seemed more focused, more intense. She was no longer the quiet, nervous girl who had walked to the front of the class. Her mind was working like a powerful computer, absorbing every piece of information. The classroom began to buzz with whispers. Students from different planets had never seen anything like this. A Zephyrian student with golden eyes turned to his friend. "How is she reading so fast?" he asked in amazement. Maya moved to the third tablet, then the fourth. Her photographic memory was capturing every detail. Ship names, weapon types, energy levels, communication times, battle formations, everything was being stored perfectly. In her mind, she could see the entire battle playing out in her head like a three-dimensional movie. Commander Brooks was watching from the back of the room. Her eyes were wide with surprise. She had known Maya was special, but she had never imagined anything like this. The fifth tablet, the sixth, the seventh. Maya's reading speed never slowed down. If anything, she was getting faster as her mind warmed up to the task. Complex mathematical calculations that would normally take hours were being solved in her head in seconds. A Velton student with silver fur stood up to get a better view. "She's not even taking notes," she said to her friend. "How can she remember all of that?" Professor Mitchell was no longer smiling. His confidence was fading as he watched Maya work through the tablets at an impossible pace. This was supposed to be easy. The human was supposed to fail quickly and completely. But instead, something extraordinary was happening. Maya reached for the 10th tablet. Her eyes were like laser beams scanning the information. She was building a complete picture of the battle in her mind. Every ship position, every weapon firing sequence, every communication delay, it was all connecting together like pieces of a giant puzzle. The room was now completely silent. Even the whispers had stopped. Everyone was watching Maya with a mixture of amazement and disbelief. Her hands moved smoothly from tablet to tablet. Her breathing was calm and controlled. She looked like she was in a different world, completely focused on the task. 15 minutes had passed. Maya was already on the 10th tablet. At this rate, she would finish reading everything with time to spare. Professor Mitchell began to feel something he had not felt in many years. Doubt. Alex could hardly believe what she was seeing. Her quiet roommate had transformed into something incredible. Maya's abilities were far beyond anything Alex had ever imagined possible for a human. Maya picked up the 18th tablet. Her photographic memory had now captured thousands of pages of the most complex military data in galactic history. But more than that, her mind was already beginning to see patterns that no one else had ever noticed. Maya set down the last tablet and looked up at the room full of students. 28 minutes had passed. She had read through thousands of pages of military data that experts had studied for decades. Now it was time to present her findings. Professor Mitchell walked to the center of the room, his silver eyes showing confusion and worry. "Miss Johnson," he said, his voice not as confident as before, "please share your analysis of the Kepler station disaster." Maya stood up slowly. The nervous girl from earlier was completely gone. In her place was someone who looked calm and sure of herself. She walked to the holographic display and pressed several buttons. The battle scene appeared in the air above her head. "The Kepler station battle failed because of one main problem," Maya began, her voice clear and strong. There was a communication delay of 0.3 seconds between the fleet commanders. Several students in the audience looked confused. A Zephyrian military expert who was watching the broadcast shook his head. "Only 0.3 seconds, he muttered. "That's nothing." Maya heard the whispers but continued. "This seems like a small delay, but in space combat, it created a chain reaction that destroyed the entire operation." She touched the display and highlighted different groups of ships in various colors. Admiral Parker commanded the Red Fleet. "From the battleship Phoenix," Maya explained, pointing to one group of ships. Captain Morris led the Blue Fleet from the cruiser Liberty. General Kim controlled the Green Fleet from the carrier Victory. She made the holographic battle play in slow motion. At exactly 14 hours 23 minutes and 17 seconds, Admiral Parker ordered his ships to move into formation Delta 7. But his message took 0.3 seconds to reach the other commanders because of interference from the nearby star's magnetic field. Maya paused and looked around the room. Every student was watching her with complete attention. Even Professor Mitchell was leaning forward, trying to follow her explanation. Captain Morris received the message at 14 hours 23 minutes 17 seconds and 3 milliseconds, Maya continued. He immediately moved his fleet to support formation Delta 7. But General Kim's message was delayed even more because her ship was behind an asteroid. She got the order. At 14 hours 23 minutes 18 seconds and 1 millisecond, the holographic display showed the three fleets moving at slightly different times. It looked like a small mistake, but Maya was just getting started. Because of these tiny delays, the fleets arrived at their positions 0.8 seconds apart, Maya explained. This created a gap in their defensive line that was exactly 847 kilometers wide. She zoomed in on a small area of space between the fleets. The enemy ships saw this gap and concentrated all their fire on that one spot. They broke through the defensive line and attacked Kepler Station directly. The room was completely silent. Maya's analysis was more detailed than anything the experts had ever produced. She was showing them things they had never seen before. But there's more, Maya said, her confidence growing. The real disaster happened because of quantum communication interference. The station's defensive weapons were controlled by quantum signals from the fleet commanders. When the enemy broke through the line, all three commanders tried to activate the station's weapons at the same time. She showed how the quantum signals interfered with each other. The weapon systems received conflicting orders and shut down completely. Kepler Station was left defenseless for 23.7 seconds. That's when most of the casualties occurred. Professor Mitchell's mouth was open in shock. Maya had identified problems that teams of experts had missed for 50 years. Her analysis was perfect, detailed, and completely accurate. The solution is quantum entanglement communication, Maya concluded. If the fleet commanders had used quantum entangled communicators, there would have been no delays and no interference. The battle could have been won with 0 casualties. The room erupted in amazed whispers and gasps. Maya had not only solved the mystery, but she had also proposed a solution that could prevent such disasters in the future. The classroom exploded with noise as students jumped from their seats. Some were clapping, others were talking excitedly in their own languages. A group of Zephyrian students were arguing about Maya's quantum communication theory. The Velton students were purring loudly, which meant they were very impressed. Professor Mitchell stood frozen in place, staring at Maya. His silver eyes were wide with shock. For 30 years, he had been considered one of the greatest military minds in the galaxy. But the 17-year-old human girl had just solved the problem that had puzzled him and thousands of other experts. Alex pushed through the crowd of students to reach Maya. That was incredible, she shouted over the noise. How did you do that? How did you remember all those details? Maya looked tired but happy. I just read carefully, she said quietly, not wanting to explain her photographic memory yet. Commander Brooks rushed to the front of the room. Her face was glowing with pride and amazement. Maya, that was the most impressive analysis I have ever seen, she said. You need to come with me right now. There are some very important people who want to talk to you. Within an hour, news of Maya's demonstration had spread across the entire galaxy. The Academy's communication networks were buzzing with messages from military leaders on dozens of planets. Everyone wanted to know about the human girl who had solved the Kepler station mystery. Admiral Stone of the Earth Defense Force called Commander Brooks directly. Is it true? He asked. Did one of our cadets really solve the Kepler problem? Yes, sir, Commander Brooks replied. Maya Johnson's analysis was perfect. She identified problems that our best experts missed for 50 years. On the Zephyrian homeworld, General Vex was reading Maya's report with amazement. Send this to the High Command immediately, he ordered his assistant.
This changes everything we know about quantum battlefield communications. Back at the academy, Maya sat in Commander Brooks' office while dozens of messages poured in. Military academies from 12 different planets wanted copies of her analysis. The Chronari War College offered her a full scholarship. The Velton Strategic Institute invited her to give lectures to their graduate students. Maya, Commander Brooks said gently, "You realize what you've done today, don't you? You've just proven that humans belong among the galaxy's greatest military minds." Maya nodded, but still felt overwhelmed. "I never meant for all this to happen," she said. "I just wanted to pass Professor Mitchell's class." Alex sat down next to her friend. "Maya, you've been hiding something from me, haven't you? No one reads that fast or remembers that much detail without some kind of special ability." Maya looked down at her hands. "I've always been different," she admitted. "I can remember everything I see or read. Every word, every number, every picture. It's like having a computer in my head." Commander Brooks leaned forward with interest. "Maya, have you ever been tested for enhanced cognitive abilities? Some humans born after first contact with alien technology show remarkable mental improvements." "No, ma'am," Maya replied. "My parents thought I was just a good student. Professor Mitchell slumped and his face showed embarrassment and regret. "Miss Johnson," he said quietly, "I owe you an apology. I was wrong about humans, and I was wrong about you. Your analysis today was brilliant. It was better than anything I could have done." Maya stood up and faced her professor. "Thank you, sir, but I don't want special treatment. I just want to learn and become a good officer." Professor Mitchell smiled for the first time since Maya had known him. "Miss Johnson, I think you're going to teach us far more than we could ever teach you.